Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live. My name is Popson Francis, and I am your personal development educator, founder and CEO of Eurique LLC, where we thrive through transformation. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube and Facebook, thank you for joining. We appreciate your presence. For those who are here live and for those who are watching the recording, thank you for being a part of the community. Please go ahead and share the live. So if you're here with us live, you want to go ahead and you want to share that live, because I realize there's some people who are contacting me and they're saying, "Oh, Popsan, I missed the live. I didn't get a notification." Share it with them. Each one, reach one, each one helps another. So we want to go ahead and share that with your contact, with your friends, with your family. And for those who are already sharing, persons are contacting me as well saying, "Oh, my cousin shared the link, my aunt shared the link, my friend shared the link," and so on. So I really appreciate those of you who are sharing the live each week. Much appreciated. All right. For those of you who have not been sharing, go ahead and sharing, and also give the live a thumbs up. So people are trickling in. They're trickling in. Go ahead and share. And please subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the Facebook page where the lives are. You can also follow us on Instagram and other spaces as well, TikTok and LinkedIn. But when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you want to go ahead and click the bell. Click all notifications. 30 minutes before we go live, you will get a notification say, "Hey, the live starts in 30 minutes." You can also put a reminder in your calendar, in your phone, so it alarms, because you know we're here Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, in the North America, we have sprung forward, right? We've sprung forward. So we're in a different time zone than Jamaica. And I know we have a lot of Eurekers joining us from Jamaica. So it's no longer 8 for you, it's 7 p.m. It's 7 p.m. for you. So maybe there is somebody who would usually be here. They're thinking it's 8, but it's 7. So definitely go ahead and share this link with them. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin. I have encouraged you to follow us on our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And our handle is Thrive at Eurique1. That's our handle. So go ahead and search us up. Welcome to the self-awareness series. You can also visit our website at thriveateurique.com. So that's our website, thriveateurique.com. I'm also going to put the link for that in the chat so you can easily find it. I will check the comments in just a little while. I see that persons are, "Oh, hi, good evening." Come on, let's send some love in the chat. If you are here, you're joining us live, say hello, say hi. Let's know that you're here. I know some of you don't like to comment in the chat, and that's fine, but at least say hello, hi. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. I am going to add the PowerPoint. I made it early. Yay, I'm so proud of you. A. Hamilton, thank you for coming. K. Roden, thank you for coming. Or K. Heights, thank you for coming. K. Thomas, thank you for coming as well. Yes, let's say good evening, greet each other as we're about to start our class, the self-awareness series. Yay. All right, so let's begin. For those of you who have been calling about the self-growth worksheets, I want you to know that for every single live, if you look in the description, the link is there. The link is there if you're watching the post recording, especially those of you who are watching the recording or the post live, I should say. You're saying, "Where is the link for the self-growth worksheets? I'm interested. I want to purchase." So you can call us. I'll show you the number and we'll send the link to you. But if you click on the description for each video, you will see the link for the purchase. Also, as you're watching the recording, and even for those of you who are live, there is a QR code. It's here for live. Yeah, this is the QR code. So you can take up use your phone, your camera, or the QR code scanner, and it will send you directly to the link to purchase. All right. I am also going to put the link in the chat so you can have it there as well. Let me just grab that and put it in the comments. All right, there you go. So that's the PDF version of the, let me just type this, self growth worksheets. R. Thompson, I've been missing you. Where have you been? Thank you for joining. She's one of the originals. She's been here from the beginning. Medea, that's what you said. I'm here. Yes. T. Freeman, thank you for joining as well. Always supporting, always just being amazing. I appreciate our community so much. Let's get started. So tonight or this evening, we're continuing. And for those of you who are new, just context, we are involved in the self-awareness course, right? And the title of the course, as you're seeing on screen, is Confusion to Confidence, the Journey to Authentic Self-Awareness. The title is a little bit long, so we just say self-awareness course. Hi, D Stanley, thank you for joining. R. Martin, pleasant evening to you as well. I'm having a great week. It's a busy week, but I'm having a great week. Thank you for wishing that upon us and for asking us how we're doing. We appreciate you. All right. So we are in module 2 right now. We have 4 modules, and best believe by the end of this evening, you would have completed module 2, but let me not run ahead of myself because you've just been troopers. For those of you who want to stay connected, and you should, and I'm going to say this, right? I'm going to say this. Yes, we have the lives each week on a Tuesday, right? And we're doing the self-awareness course. And there are other things that are going to come that I'm planning for you, praying about and executing in the background, right? We are planning other things. Persons have been reaching out asking for one-on-one coaching for self-awareness. You're like, it's great, I'm learning a lot, but I want one-on-one time with you. We are definitely doing that. We have done some scheduling this week already for persons who are reaching out. You can reach out using our phone number on screen, 631-635-0431. So let me say, yes, we're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but you can get other tips. The series, it's not the only offering that we have. So if you follow us specifically on TikTok, and if you follow us on Instagram, you will know that we publish daily self-growth tips. Things that are not as long as the recording. The interaction here is great, and I encourage you to come every Tuesday. But if you want bite-sized pieces like 30-second tips, 60-second tips for productivity and self-awareness and personal growth, you are missing out if you're not following us on TikTok and Instagram, because that's where we post those videos. All right. And we also post snippets or shorts from our live each week. So you definitely want to follow us on Instagram. You definitely want to follow us on TikTok. Hi, C. Francis. Welcome. Thank you for joining. So stay connected, right? Stay connected. Introduction is done. Module 1, we completed that. And after tonight, you would have completed module 2. Believe it or not, and you should, by this evening, you would have completed 2 major modules. And next week, we're starting module 3. Isn't that amazing? Wow. It's like time is flying. Time is really flying, but it's good time. We've been having good times together. So that's good. All right, let's move forward. So we're still engaged in module 2, emotional awareness. That's what we're talking about. And the disclaimer, let me go back to the disclaimer. I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm your self-development educator. I'm an educator, right? An educator, and information and knowledge is transformational. If you would like to engage in professional counseling, someone who is trained, who can take you through on a much more individual, impactful, deeper level, dealing with your personal issues and journey, I'm going to encourage you to visit SiteTune Services. And that's at the top of the screen. It's scrolling across right now. So the website is sitetuneservices.com. I'm actually going to grab the information and put it in the chat for you. All right. So let me put this in the comments. There you go. So you can grab that and I'll put that up again so it scrolls on for a bit. So it's sitetuneservices.com and the number is 631-635-0307. That's 631-635-0307. That's for your individual therapy. But here we're learning together, we're acquiring knowledge, and we're applying knowledge so we can be better individuals and more self-aware individuals. I want to get something else out of the way. There's so many of you who are contacting me. Let me come fully on screen. There are many of you who are contacting me and you're asking, hey, Popsan, your PowerPoints, they look amazing. Like, who is designing them? I'll just put it on screen so you see. So the PowerPoint design, you can contact. Let me put it in the chat as well, because I'm getting a lot of requests about this. I have this amazing person who I work with. Her name is Onelia. She is fantastic. And so I'm going to just put her information in the chat. And I'm also going to put it on screen for a while. And you can grab her email her. She's very affordable and she's amazing. All right. And then here we go with SiteTune Services up top. I'm going to keep that up there for a while. Let's dig in. Let us dig into our presentation this evening. So emotional awareness is what we're focusing on. Let's do a little review of last week's lesson. So last week's lesson, lesson 1 of module 2, we spoke about recognizing and labeling emotions. And there are three things that we engaged together and we explored together. Number 1, understanding the importance of recognizing and labeling emotions. And we spoke about the nuances, right? Why is it important for us to be able to understand and recognize and label our emotions? We connected that to self-awareness. Then for number 2, we explored identifying common emotions and their nuanced variations. And based on the feedback I received, it was amazing. You were able to identify primary emotions. You're able to identify shades of those emotions and increase your emotion vocabulary. Fantastic. And I also shared with you some techniques to improve emotional labeling in your daily life, like mindful observation. I also shared with you, name it to tame it. There's so many techniques. So if you were not here last week, I would encourage you to revisit the presentation from last week, the class from last week. For those of you who are late, come to the front of the class as always. Come to the front of the class, sit at the front for those who are late. All right, I'm going back in. So that's our revision. We like to do a little revision before we move forward. Now let's talk about lesson 2. Tonight's lesson is understanding triggers. This is so important to self-awareness. My theory is, and my experience has been, there is, let me say this. There's absolutely no way you can claim that you're self-aware without knowing what triggers you. You just have to know. You should know. Because remember, self-awareness is not just relating to internal awareness, it's also related to external awareness. So if the external pieces can affect your self-awareness, it means that you should know how the external pieces can trigger you and how you respond to the external pieces when you are triggered. And that's going to give you coping mechanisms and strategies, not so that triggers do not control your life. Are you with me? If you're with me, type 1 in the chat. Hi, good night. M. Slowly D. Miller. Thank you for joining. All right, so that's what we're focusing on this evening. So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to do 3 things. Number 1, I want you to be able to understand what emotional triggers are and how they work. Number 2, you will be able to recognize your common triggers. All of us have them. All of us have them. And number three, you will be able to apply simple strategies to begin managing your responses to triggers. Simple things that you can do on a day to day. But again, if you want a deeper dive therapy, SideTune Services is at the top of the screen. You can call them and visit their website to make an appointment. Okay? All right. Let's define it even before I move that. When you hear the word trigger, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? Even if it's an analogy, if it's a comparison, if it's a word, if it is a sentence. Hey, for those of you who are new here, we engage here, we interact here, we participate in the chat. You share your thoughts. I acknowledge your thoughts. We connected and we connect with each other. So talk to me. When you hear the word trigger, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. All right. So D. Miller says, what comes to my mind is pattern of behavior. All right. Wonderful. R. Thompson sends some emojis like head blown, angry, like spitting fumes. That comes to mind. D. Stanley says, what makes you upset? All right. T. Freeman, oh, I love this. T. Freeman says heart palpitation. So you're connecting it to physiological responses, right? Or indications. Love it. Shell says spark comes to my mind. I love that. C. Smith says kick start. For anybody, does the word gun come to mind or weapon? When you hear trigger, like pulling the trigger? Yes or no? And all of these responses are amazing responses. Skipper says alertness comes to mind. It's like, I'm alert. Activate is another word that comes to mind. Absolutely. So these are really good things, really good associations that make sense to you and actually make sense to me and others. Now, here's the thing. As you are typing in the chat, I want you to commend each other. I want you to affirm each other. If someone puts something in the chat that you didn't think about, call them out and say, hey, that's good. I never thought of that. Can you explain that? Because we want it to be as interactive a community as possible. D. Francis says, yes, but I was afraid to say, don't be afraid. This is a safe space. That's okay. That's all right. That's what came to my mind too, like a weapon. So you're good. You're good. T. Edwards says something that push a reaction, whether good or bad. M. Slowly says, and yes, a weapon does come to mind. C. Francis says, no, that did not. What comes to mind or what came to mind for you, C. Francis? Tell us what came to mind for you. What came to mind for me is a weapon, and the trigger is being pulled by someone else, but the impact is what I'm feeling. And isn't that true? Like walking around where people trigger us or we're triggered by others? Because sometimes, I don't want to say people trigger us because sometimes they don't know. It's not intentional. So we are triggered by others, by things. The trigger is pulled, and then we have the impact of it, right? And we can also be the catalyst to trigger others as well. It's not just a one-sided thing. D. Stanley says, oh, I love this. Tomorrow, I had that reaction earlier today at work. Good job. So you see the interaction, we love it. All right, so let's look at the definition, and thank you so much for participating. So triggers in general, wonderful. Let's talk about emotional triggers. So emotional triggers, it's not just people, it's situation. Okay, SideTune Services is here live. All right. So SideTune Services is sensations and reactions that feel like rippling bullets in mind and body. And many of you, when you listed your association, you listed it in terms of the mental impact, alertness, activation, spark, anxiety, things like those. And then some of you looked at the physiological piece, would be like the body, the palpitations and things like those. See, Francis says, when you think about trigger, it's something that causes a reaction. And then the question is, are there positive triggers? Now, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about and that's a really great question. Anybody would like a go at that in the chat? So your classmate, your peer is asking a question. Sheld, are there positive triggers? Have a gander at it and we'll come back to it, right? Now, let's talk about the definition. So emotional triggers, these are situations. It could be people, it could be words or memories. Could be really anything, right? And those things will provoke a strong emotional reaction. And for everybody, strong may be different, but you know yourself. It promotes a strong emotional reaction. And triggers, they're often linked to past experiences that can cause feelings like anger, sadness, anxiety. So, in a general sense, triggers do not have a positive connotation. We're looking at them from the perspective that they impact something unwanted in your mind and in your body, right? So that's how we're defining them. If you're thinking about positive triggers, Janiel actually used a phrase when we just started. It was our first time together since we restarted our live series. When we did the session on breaking barriers and limitation in 2026, she said, oh, some of us, yes, all of us have triggers, but we also have drivers. So that's why I'm going to frame it. Things that propel us to, it activates us. It's the opposite of triggers. We're going to call those drivers. Sheld, let me know if I've answered your question. Excuse me. Let me know if I've answered your question. We're going to call those drivers. But you know what? So many of us focus on the driving. Oh, this drives me. My family drives me. My faith drives me. My successes drive me. My peace of mind drives me. And we focus on all the positive, the drivers. And I find that many of us shy away from the triggers. It's just like in self-awareness. Many of us focus on the internal self-awareness, but not the external self-awareness, because we believe people don't have an effect on us. Right. And then for some of us, when we think about self-awareness, we focus so many times on the positive side of ourselves, but we don't focus on the parts of ourselves that are not desirable and the parts of ourselves that need to change. So even though drivers are very critical, I want us to zone in on our triggers today. It is so, I'm going to say this, it is so powerful and so freeing when you know what your triggers are. They're not things for you to shy away from. There are things, strong emotional provocations that we can learn from, so we can decide or determine or review where they have stemmed from, the catalyst for these things, how they show up in our present, and how we can learn from them to activate a better version of ourselves. Because if you don't know what your triggers are, this is what is going to happen. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen if you don't know what your triggers are. If you don't know what your triggers are, you're going to have people who do not add any value to your life. You're going to have people who are quote unquote not important. You do not value them, not as human beings, but in your circle. They are going to be pulling that trigger anytime they choose. Let me get a witness. Has that happened to you? Have you ever been in a familial situation, a relationship, church, which is one of the most triggering places you can find on earth, your professional workspaces? Have you been in those spaces where people do things, say things, behave a particular way, have perceptions of you, and they use those things, whether knowingly or not, advertently or inadvertently, and they can determine, is the word I'm looking for, they can determine the trajectory of your day. They can determine the trajectory of your life. They can determine the decisions you make. If there are people out there who can affect us in negative ways, it means, therefore, that when the Lord says we should have dominion, that is also a place where we need to have dominion, where others are not controlling us as automation. Hello, somebody. Am I talking to the Eurekers tonight? I am setting the foundation because I want you to understand it is not okay for you to ignore the things that trigger you. I know. I know, especially if you're talking about deep traumatic situations where you're definitely going to need counseling for that. But if it's not as deep as that, there are things that we can do on the day to day to take back the dominion that others have had over us. God never created human beings to have dominion over other human beings. And so, if you know what your triggers are and you can develop effective strategies, because some of us develop strategies that are not healthy. If you can develop effective strategies to cope and to take back that power, then you are in a much better place. And that is as a result, you cannot do that unless you're self-aware. D. Stanley says that's exactly what happened today. Thank you for that. It happens on a day to day where we're triggered and we don't know why. Yeah. 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 And so many people in the chat are saying, yes, true. Wow. Yes, of course. It's true. Let's continue. So we know what it is. I want you to do something for me. I want you to do something for me. In a phrase or a sentence, this is an activity for you. In a phrase or a sentence, give your definition. Give your definition of a trigger. I'll wait on you. Give your definition of a trigger. And while you're writing your definition, when you think about triggers, I don't want us to be selfish. And let me tell you why I say that. I don't want us to just think about how others trigger us. Let's also have a moment of honesty and also analyze how we can potentially trigger others. That's why emotional awareness is so important. And respecting each other is so important. Because if I know A. Hamilton doesn't like when I shout, and I shout, I'm triggering her intentionally because I know she doesn't like it. So it's respect. Because if that's not the case, we'll be walking around with triggered people interacting every day, one triggering the other, and it's like a war zone in our families and in our workspaces and in our communities of faith and all. I'm like, oh, no, it's not safe anywhere because it's a bunch of triggered people. Hello? Hi, do I have a testimony? Yes? Okay. A. Hamilton says, yep, spoil my whole day. D says, I use coping skills. We are going to talk about some of those strategies. A. Lily says, yes, I certainly have where a friend decided to block me while ignoring my messages and leaving me blaming myself without any explanation as to why, triggered to the max. So those are, so you know, if someone does not reciprocate communication, I will be triggered. Having that knowledge is going to be life-changing for you because you know what's going to cause it. And so you can come up with strategies, okay? Walk yourself through. We're going to talk about the strategies later, but that's a wonderful example. Cutting someone off when they're speaking or in the middle of a thought, that's a trigger for some persons. Thank you for sharing that. C. Smith says, something that excites me or makes me annoyed or sends me to a place where my inside shakes. Oh, that's very descriptive. I really appreciate that. That's very descriptive. So you know, you're describing, you know what it feels like when you're triggered, because some people don't know. So you're going to take the time. For those of you who've never delved into it and observed it, you're going to observe that now. D. Stanley says, for you, a trigger is a situation where you go out of character or you're upset. Being disrespected is a trigger for me. So disrespect is a trigger. Absolutely. And so as you're thinking about what may potentially trigger you, you can also think about how can I take back dominion from that situation? For those of us who are from a Christian perspective, we know that there are two sides to this world. There's God and there's the demonic side. And the demonic side can use people to trigger you. Yeah, all the time. All the time. Use people to trigger the heavens out of you. And you're walking around very triggered, very anxious, very angered. So we're definitely going to pay attention to that. Let's move forward. Okay. Thank you for giving your explanations. Thank you for giving your feedback on all of this. Oh, here's another trigger for C, Francis. Someone who speaks to me in a condescending manner. All right, wonderful. So find out what that is and find out what your triggers are. We are going to do an exercise for in the self-growth worksheet to help you put that on paper so you can put words to your thoughts. Okay? And if you know, here's another thing. If you know what your triggers are, it puts you in a position to communicate that to others, because some people do not know that they're triggering you. And you just assume because I'm triggered, you must know that you are triggering me. You must know that what you've said is wrong. You must know that how you approach me is wrong. They may not know because in their worldview, it may not be wrong. For example, if someone shouts or talks loudly, that may be their modus of operandi. They speak loudly, they shout, they come across in your way aggressive, but for them, it's passionate. So you can communicate that. Okay, D. Stanley says, oh my God, you are so right. That's why you're a part of this community. All right, let's move forward. Why is it that understanding triggers? Why does it matter? There are a few things. Knowing your triggers is going to improve your self-awareness. We said that's number one. It's going to help you to respond calmly. Yes, it will. Because of course it will. Anybody wants a gander at that? How can understanding your triggers help you to respond calmly? It's almost like it's an antithesis. Let me say antithesis. Let me use that pronunciation because the other one is messing me up. So antithesis. Okay, that's it, right? It's like contrasting things. Triggers provoke a strong reaction, negative reaction, but at the same time, knowing my triggers can help me to respond calmly. Anybody wants a take at that? I would really love to hear your input. Explain that to me. Explain that to us. For those who are joining, thank you for joining. Come to the front of the class because you're late. D. Francis says, this is so educational for me because I've always gotten upset when disrespected, but yet never realized it was a trigger. Yes. 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 Absolutely. Okay. Skipper says it's a siren that causes anxiety, and your body tells you. And therapy can actually take you to the past experience so you can reframe that. Okay, here is SciTune Services. The psychologist is in the house. Triggers are indicators to address the lack of intimate relationship with parts of ourselves, and most times with our negative emotions. And this helps us to regulate by responding rather than reacting. That is it right there. That is the connection. Knowing, identifying, coming into relationship with that which rubs you the wrong way, some people will term it. So you can use that information so you're no longer reacting, but responding. If I know that you will do something, or let me say, I don't know you'll do it, but there's something in me that is triggering, I take responsibility for that. I'm like, this is what triggers me. I own this. I'm not going to shy away from it. So when it shows up, I'm like, oh, here you are. I am not going to respond in the most favorable, humane, dignified way because I I'm responding or reacting out of anger and anxiety. So I know I need to take a breather. I know I need to say to the person, I cannot have this conversation with you right now. Please give me a moment. I know that before I shoot off a response, I should pause and wait. That is how you're going to respond calmly. The triggers are actually helping you, they are enabling you, not disabling you. Woo! Come on, that's a quotation right there. When we approach triggers from a self awareness perspective, we are no longer allowing them to disable us, they are enabling us. Question in the chat: how can you respond without reacting? We know they're not the same. Anybody wants to take a gander at that? I just don't want to shoot up the answers, right? I want us to engage with each other. I want to hear your perspective. How can you respond without reacting? Psych Tune Services, feel free to chime in. Others on the call, give your perspective. Are you able to respond without reacting? D. Miller is chiming in. Sometimes it's best not to respond or react to someone when you're triggered because we may act or do something out of the norm. Correct. Correct. What is even more powerful, I'm going to add to that, is that you respond armed with the information, equipped with the information that you are triggered, and you can choose appropriate responses that will not further hurt others. T. Foster says, I have noticed that when I'm triggered, I isolate myself, and that's very toxic, but that's the way I handle stuff. And that's okay. We start with what we have, and then we move from there. Maybe you need to take a step back. What's not okay, though, can I just share this with you? You're doing yourself an injustice. And I'm going to say this, you're doing yourself an injustice if someone triggers you, you step back and you never address it. It's okay to step away, to calm yourself, to recalibrate, to come to Zen, to ground yourself so you can address it. But if you ignore it, if you don't address it, how will the person know that they have offended you? How will they know that they are impacting you negatively? You get what I'm saying? So that's one way that you're taking back dominion, because that's the prerogative that you were given by the creator. M slowly says, you can only remain calm when you are exactly, that's it. You can only remain calm when you are self-aware. In other words, you have a sobering plan. Love it. T. Freeman, I'm going to be honest. Once I feel disrespected or feel belittled, my head chip. I'm sorry, I will lose it. That is okay. Remember that all emotions are valid, but we are going to work through them. So now the ideal self, remember we did that a few weeks ago, right? Remember we did that? So the self-image is what it is. That's your observation of yourself. That's how you are. That's fine. Self-worth is the value you're going to apply to that. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? If it's not a productive, healthy thing, then your ideal self is going to chip in now. Your ideal self is going to be activated, is what I mean by chip in, is going to be activated so you know what you can do to circumvent and address that. I love this, Sheld. Triggers lose their power when you become aware of them. That, if we were to sum up this evening's class with a sentence, that would be it right there. That would be it. Triggers and those who trigger us, whether physical or spirit beings, they lose their power when we become self-aware. Oh God, this time is like, boy, my heart be bubbling. To react, it's hard, especially when it's someone you expected to be the bigger person. Yeah, I've learned to give people grace in this season, and I've learned not to label someone based on their mistake. And we all make mistakes, including those who trigger us, just as how we trigger others. Uh, yeah, mercy and truth kissing each other. Mercy and truth kissing each other. Grace kissing each other. Okay? Being triggered is human, but how you respond is a choice. Absolutely. S. Magulu, welcome. That's it right there. I love this. I have the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is there, but I'm just going with the flow based on your interactions and what you're saying in the chat. And I hope it's been productive. I hope it's been productive. I hope we're learning. Yeah, because that's what I said at the beginning. We are all, or we all have been, will be triggered in some way, shape, or form. We've all had experiences in the past that we did not like. And when we see it show up again, we're like, don't play with me. Don't play with me. Right? We don't want to hit anybody out, right? So we're going to learn how to identify those. I'll take this comment and then we'll move forward. A. Lily. In some scenario, I dismantle every existence of that person in order to cope, especially being a person who values truth and communication. Thank you for sharing that. Right? Okay. So understanding your triggers, it matters because it will allow you to improve your self-awareness. It's going to help you to respond calmly, which is not reacting. Reacting is like you don't even think about it. And this goes back to Dee's response, right? D. Stanley's question earlier. Reacting is like you're not even thinking. You just pull the trigger. But responding, you're taking the time to process because you're coming from an informed perspective. So the person, let me say that again. So reacting is like there's no thought, it's just automatic. Dude, this is my reaction. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, I could have handled that better. But when you respond, because you are informed, you are able to choose how you show up in a responsible way, in a way that honors what you stand for, and in a way that honors the image of God in the other person. Because even the person who's doing wrong, even the person who is triggering you, they're still made in the image of God. So how can I let you know that I don't appreciate what you said? I don't appreciate what you did. This is my boundary, without defaming, without slandering the person. And I think when we do not understand our triggers and when they control us, we go in defamation, we go into slander, we go into, I'm going to decimate you. You hurt me, I'm going to decimate you. For those of us who want to rise a little bit higher, we are learning in this course that self-awareness can definitely equip us to be true to ourselves, still set our boundaries, still allow people to know what we accept and what we don't, without dismantling or destroying another human being. SideTune Services is chiming in the comments. Reacting is from an emotional knee-jerk context and disappropriate while responding. Okay, in a knee-jerk and disappropriative context, while responding is from a thoughtful, settled, balanced, and appropriate response. D. Stanley, this is the psychologist giving it to you in beautiful language. Let us know if we answered your question. D. Miller, when we are Christians, we have to know how to respond. We can't approach the situation with anger or violence. Sometimes we have to pray and come again. We then come again, right? We have to come again after taking some time and then approach the situation. Yeah. There are many people who, when they're triggered, they destroy other people's lives, when the situation could have been handled so much differently. It could have been amicable. People could have been kept accountable. You could have shared your thoughts. The other person shared their thoughts. We come to a resolution and we move forward. People, let me say this without any apology. People who are not self-aware, they operate out of trigger and they destroy other people's lives and they destroy their own lives. Because when we're triggered and we do not know how to control it, because we're not self aware, we approach situations from a condescending, proud perspective. How dare you do this to me? And I'm going to have everything that's valuable to you. I'm going to destroy you. But if you take the time to look at yourself in the mirror, if we take the time to look at ourselves in the mirror, we will come to the conclusion that I have triggered someone. I've triggered my children. I've triggered my spouse. I've triggered my friends. I may have triggered my colleague. And did they destroy me? They didn't, right? You're still here. They may be upset. They may call you out, but they didn't come for everything you stand for. And that's because pride comes in. And I tell you, we destroy each other, but yet still we say we love each other. That's the word right there, grace. I'm reading the book of Proverbs, Proverbs chapter 3, and this scripture, it stands out to me. It says, mercy and truth, put them around your neck like a necklace and bind them to the tablets of your heart. For me, I am getting that I can be merciful, but still speak truth. I can hold people accountable without destroying everything they stand for. Oh my word. Because self awareness is not just about you, it's about how you impact other people and how other people impact you. Mhm. All right, let's move forward. So, recognizing common themes in triggers, this is going to help you manage and anticipate your responses. That's what it's going to do. Let's move forward. For your learning moment, in fact, we've already covered this learning moment, and you've done a great job in using your prerogative and your initiative and sharing some things with us already. So I'm going to still read your learning moment, the first learning moment. Somebody coming on later, if you want to participate in the chat using these prompts, you can. For those of you who've already shared, good job. We've already done it. So for the first learning moment, identifying common triggers. Even if you don't want to type it in the chat, you can do it mentally or a notepad where you are. Number one, think about a recent situation when you felt a strong negative reaction. I had one last night. Think about a strong negative reaction. I had one this morning. Think about a strong negative reaction. I had it yesterday or a month or a year ago. Think about it. What happened and how did it make you feel? Again, you don't have to type in the chat if you don't want to, but if you want to be a brave soldier, go ahead. You don't have to give the details. What happened? How did it make you feel? Then from there, think of number two. Can you identify a specific word, action, or person that triggered this reaction? Because remember, triggers can be words, can be actions, can be people, can be situations, circumstances. So Patterson says, being offended by someone in a disgusting manner. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Number three, the third question, was your reaction related to a past experience or expectation? This piece is so important. If so, what comes to mind? So the question is, was your reaction related to a past experience or expectations? Because triggers do not just come as a result of past experiences rather. They may also come as a result of expectations. When people do not meet our expectations, we can become triggered. Oh, I expect you to be perfect. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot fall short of the glory of God. You cannot mess up. You're supposed to be perfect. And so if you're not perfect, I'm going to come at you because how dare you let me down? For parents on the call, your child does not meet your expectation. You become triggered as a result of that. Your spouse, your sister, your friend does not meet your expectation. You become triggered based on that. So, what if a friend, for example, sets a boundary or makes a request of you? Oh, you didn't meet my expectation. How dare you make that request of me? How dare you establish that boundary? I'm triggered. You're wrong. Think about those things. When the person is in his or her right to have that boundary, the person is within his or her right to set that expectation and make it clear. So here is a thought that just came to my mind. Are we walking around being upset with others because they set boundaries that we do not like? Are we being triggered by others because they have made requests that we do not like? If someone says, don't call me after 9 p.m., what? You're my friend. You should be available at any time. That's someone's boundary. That's someone's boundary. So instead of gaslighting the person, like, how dare you? What? You shouldn't have that boundary. You should not have made that request. Maybe we should sit with ourselves and say, why am I triggered by that? Yeah? Okay, moving on. T. Freeman says, I had one yesterday and it made me feel frustrated. So we're talking about a possible trigger, a trigger there. D. Francis, I'm triggered when not listened to. Okay, all right. I. Patterson says, sigh and take a deep breath. Like, whoosha. All right, wonderful. Thank you for sharing your pieces. All right, let's move forward. So recognizing physical and emotional signs of being triggered. Triggers often have physical and emotional signals. SciTune Services actually said that tonight. That triggers, it's not just mental, it can be physical manifestations, such as increased heart rate. Someone earlier said palpitations, sweating, feeling tense, having a knot in your stomach. You usually know when you are triggered. But some of us don't pay attention to it and we lose the signals that our bodies send us. All right. So let's talk about techniques for managing triggers. I. Patterson, you are right on the ball when you say take a deep breath, pause and breathe. Someone earlier says that they step away, they isolate for a moment. Let's reframe that. Let's reframe that, because isolation means like, oh, I go in my own space, and maybe that's your experience, right? Not contradicting that. I go in my own space and I want nobody around me. Could we reframe that and maybe say I step away from the situation to compose myself so I can actually address it? Yeah, because it needs to be addressed. Hi, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Come to the front of the class. You're late. So pause and breathe. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. You can hold it for 4. Sometimes you're so triggered, you may hold it for longer than 4. But the point here, it doesn't matter the count, although the longer, the better. Don't go suffocating yourself now. But the point is that you're inhaling, you're holding, and you're exhaling. So you can calm the body down. That's the point of this technique. Pause and breathe. Next, label the emotion, which we spoke about last week. So we're tying that in this week. Label the emotion. So naming the emotion can help you process it more effectively. In managing your triggers and being self-aware, labeling your emotions can help you process. How can you process what you do not know to articulate? How can you process what you are not able to identify? So remember, we're working on increasing our emotion vocabulary. Hi, C. Wilson. Thank you for coming. So that's the second technique. First is, what was the first one? Type it in the chat. Type it in the chat. What's the first technique? What was the first technique? What was the first technique? I'm going to the chat. Let's see who first. Who is the first person that will type the first technique that I shared with you today? What was the first technique that I shared? What was the first technique? S. Simbada says, maybe we don't understand other people's boundaries because we need to work on ours first so we can be in a position not to be triggered by theirs. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. The first technique is to wonderful. Pause and breathe. I've learned from SciTune services, I've learned from SciTune services that when you're in a situation and your heartbeat increases, not the heartbeat, but the rate of your heartbeat increases, that's usually a sign that you need to take a break. That's usually a sign that you're going to be reacting and not responding. And I learned from SciTune services that I should employ the 90-second rule because feelings are really impacted by hormones sometimes in our bodies. And so that flush of hormone comes, that happiness hormone, or that serotonin flushes in our body, or that dopamine flushes in our body, and it just gives us a rush of whatever emotion is controlled by those hormones. And so taking 90 seconds, and this is something that I have personally employed, that I have used in my life. And just taking 90 seconds, it sounds like a long time, but it's not. And allowing that emotion to rush through your body. In the context of tonight, we're talking about negative emotions. Now, they're not negative, but that's how we label them so we can differentiate. So negative emotions, allow it to rush through your body so you don't act on the emotion. Do I have a witness? Is there anybody in class this evening who has felt a rush of anger or shame or guilt or disgust or frustration or loneliness or whatever the emotion, and you acted out of that emotion? And afterwards, you're like, I could have done better. I did not have to respond that way. I really blew that out of proportion. Even though I was justified in how I felt, I could have taken another route or another route. I did not have to behave so harshly against somebody else. There could have. Have you ever been in that situation? I have. And I've been the recipient of it too. And I would have hoped that the person who I wronged would have taken the time to say, all right, let me apply that 90-second rule so I can circle back and say, hey, this is how you showed up. I didn't appreciate that. And if I want people to do it to me, and when I say me, I'm talking about all of us, then we should reciprocate that. We all have been in that situation. Again, if you want to explore this more with professional counseling, that's the contact for SciTune services at the top of the screen, number and the website. All right, let's move forward. So pause and breathe. And then the second technique is label the emotion. So that's the second technique. All right. And the third technique is self-compassion reminder. Oh, we all need this. Self-compassion reminder. When you feel triggered, gently remind yourself, this is a difficult moment and it's okay to feel my emotions. It's okay to feel what I feel. But I'm going to apply the 90-second rule so I can take control of my emotions and my emotions don't take control of me. Practicing self-compassion can help reduce the intensity of emotional reactions. Self-compassion. Self-compassion and self-awareness is a big thing because we are going to mess up. We are going to be triggered. We are going to respond in a less than favorable way. We are going to get angry. In one of the phrases used in the chat tonight, my head I got chip. In other words, I'm going to get angry. Yeah, I'm going to lose my norm of operating. And if that were to happen, self-compassion. And not because you're triggered, not because we are triggered, let me not say you, not because we are triggered gives us license to hurt other people. Not because we're triggered gives us license to destroy the lives of others. Because two wrongs, they don't make a right. So if you trigger me, I'm going to use myself as an example. If you trigger me and I respond in an unfavorable way, yes, you triggered me and I'm going to address that, but I should also be mature enough and self-aware to say, I was triggered. This is how I was triggered, but I also want to apologize for how I treated you as a result of that. Because one person, I trigger you, you trigger me. It's crazy. It's ridiculous, really. I tell you, there is so much power in being self-aware. And I'm so happy that my self-awareness journey started almost intentional self-awareness journey started almost 10 years ago. So I show up differently in the world. And I want you to show up differently in the world. And I want you to show up differently for others. Because if you're self-aware, you're going to be merciful and compassionate to other people. Yep. All right. We're going to move forward. Strategy number 1, pause and breathe. Strategy number 2, label your emotions. Strategy number 3, self-compassion. It's time for the self-growth worksheet. And you're going to do this for homework. And I'm going to display the self-growth worksheet on screen. And it is page 24. So for those of you who printed it, get that going to page 24. For those of you who purchased the Kindle version, you need to get that going again. For those of you who have not yet purchased, I'm going to put the link to the self-growth worksheet in the chat. Oh, what? Let me hear from those who have it. How is it going for those of you who purchased it? Do you find the exercises useful? Does it help you to process? For those of you who've purchased, let me know. We want to know. We want to know for sure. Absolutely. So I put the PDF version in, and I'm putting the Kindle digital version in. Let us know how it's going. So turn to the self-growth worksheets, page 24. I'm going to add this. So this is what this exercise looks like. It's not going to be of quality yet. So taming my trigger guide. And so what you're going to be doing is completing this. It's on page 24. There we go. Page 24. So let me put the instructions back up. I'm going to do it full screen. So on the worksheet, you'll describe a trigger. And then in column B, I want you to identify 2 things that can help balance your mind, your body, and your spirit when you are triggered. And I'm giving you a tip. The calming or balancing effect could be an activity. It could be a technique, like I've explored it today. It could be a person. It could be a place. It could be a song, whatever it is that can help to balance you. This is where we're talking about the coping strategies. Even though I've shared some with you, there are others that you can add to the list. T. Freeman says, I love the self-growth worksheet. Like, not just like, I love it. All right. Carlene said, Kay Hines says, yes, it has been most effective. Like, absolutely. So for those of you who haven't bought it, you need to buy it because it's not just good for the series, it's good for the rest of your life. Right? So identify, describe a trigger. And here's the thing, like, if you're in a situation where you feel triggered, you could just pop out the self-growth worksheet. Just pop it out. Right. What's triggering me right now? Because you're going to be self-aware. You're going to pay attention. Okay. Bam. Okay. It's triggering me. And then what are 2 things or 1 thing that I can do to help balance me out at this moment? Do I need to step away and breathe? Do I need to identify my emotions? Do I need to employ self-compassion to say, I am feeling how I'm feeling. This sucks. I have the right to feel how I feel. Do you need to listen to music? Do you need to exercise? Do you need to drink some water? Do you need to go in nature? What do I need to talk to someone? What is it that can help to balance me out in this moment? All right. Schultz says for the self-growth worksheet, yes, it does help to reinforce what we learned in class. Wonderful. I love it. So that's what you're going to do for homework. Let's wrap things up. I would like to hear from you. How was tonight's class? We spoke about understanding triggers for module 2. Put your responses in the chat. How was tonight? How was tonight? How was tonight? How did it go? How was your experience? I will read your comment shortly. So let's wrap up and do a learning check. We've learned that understanding and recognizing triggers is the first step to managing them effectively. Name it to tame it. Practice noticing your triggers and using the pause and breathe technique along with other techniques over the next week whenever you are triggered. Practice that. It could be simple annoyances, right? Those can be triggers. Also, triggers are a normal part, and S. Mugallo said that. Triggers are a normal part of human experience, and managing them, it takes time and practice. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm going to manage my triggers overnight and all is going to be perfect. You've had these things for years, for months, for weeks. And so give yourself compassion in working through them and practice those balancing techniques, what works for you. Okay? Good job. Let's check in. We started with 3 objectives today. I want to hear from you. Are you able to understand what emotional triggers are and how they work? Are you able? Put a yes in the chat or no. Number 2, were you able to recognize your own common triggers, at least one of them, as you did the first learning moment, and you're going to do the second one in the worksheet? Number 3, are you able to apply simple techniques to begin managing your responses to triggers? Those are questions that I'd love for you to reflect on to see how successful you were in today's class. You may have also had other objectives. That's fine. If you had other objectives, that's good as well. See if you actually met them. Slowly says, tonight's class was informative and educational as always. Thank you. You're most welcome. T. Freeman, class was very informative. I learned to breathe. Wonderful. Congratulations. A big thing. A big thing. I'm going in my Jamaican accent. My full-blown Jamaican. A big thing. In other words, this is a huge deal. Congratulations on completing Module 2, Emotional Awareness, Lesson 1, Recognizing and Labeling Emotions, Lesson 2, Understanding Triggers. Excellent job, everyone. Next week, we begin Module 3. We're going to focus on self-reflection and self-talk. We be talking to ourselves. We want to focus on that. Self-reflection and self-talk. We start next week. Remember to subscribe and hit the all notification bell so you can be aware. For those of you who are in Jamaica, for those of us on the East Coast, we're now 1 hour ahead of you. So the live starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be 7 Jamaican time. I know we have a lot of persons joining in from Jamaica. Stay connected, my friends. Stay connected. Visit us at our website at Eurique.com. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. If you'd like one-on-one coaching for self-awareness so you can actually process the pieces that we've looked at one-on-one, then hit us up, call us, text us, WhatsApp us at 631-635-0431. We're now booking for one-on-one coaching, and persons are lining up for their one-on-one coaching. Daniel, we're going to close off with your response. And this is what you said. It's my first time and I have no regrets coming to class as I've learned a lot. I was able to recognize a few triggers that were evident before me, but yet I didn't realize them before. Very educational session. You are most welcome. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. See you next week, same time, same place. Please share the recording. Share it on your status. Share it on your status. For those of you you're already doing it, share it, share it. Don't keep the niceness to yourself. Don't keep the niceties to yourself. Bye, my friends. See you next week.